but I would imagine that this is some pretty caustic stuff, so I'm going to just be careful not to get this on me. There's a little basket here. So we're just going to submerge that. And probably no reason that I can't submerge that with it. I want to submerge those pieces. Put this lid back on it. And we're going to set a timer for 1 hour. Now with the lids back on it, we're going to set a timer for 1 hour. And 30 minutes. And we'll see how clean it comes out. So there you have it. Fairly simple actually, other than just a couple of pieces that I'm not exactly sure how or why they work, but other than that, pretty simple. And this handy dandy kit from the Carburetor Shop. Carburetor Shop, yep. Looks like it has all the pieces that I need and the correct pieces. So good for them. They're very helpful, by the way, in helping me identify the parts and pieces off that tag number. So all good. I'll put their information at the end of this clip, and if you're enjoying this, be sure and subscribe. Well, as a follow-up, I've now came in and cleaned up all these carburetor parts. So I dipped them for a couple hours each, rinsed them in the carb dip, and then I came in and I bead blasted all of these little parts, and I manganese phosphated the things that I wanted to be black. So I have a manganese phosphate burner here with boil water and manganese phosphate in the one on the left and hot water on that one. When you do that, that turns these little parts into just a really nice black. So I phosphated all of those parts, and then the parts that should be kind of shiny, like these plates, I zinc plated those. So I have a little electroplating power source here and some electrolyte with a zinc anode. So I zinc plated the things that ought to be zinc plated, like these little linkages, got those shined up. And the only real issue I have is this shaft is really badly worn. You can see where the grooves are, and when I was taking it apart, I told you I thought this one side was really loose, and you can see how badly worn it is right here. So that's going to cause a real problem. That'll be a vacuum leak. And then also on the tip of this thing, these threads are just about gone. And I'm not sure how hard it is to obtain one of these. So Monday morning I'll see if I can't source up one of those. I did find a place that on the internet that may rebuild them. So with that, I think I've got everything pretty much ready to go back together, short of that shaft. I did find out this this accelerator pump. The reason I was having such a hard time getting that off is that screw is a left-handed screw. So it's the one that holds it onto this little deal right here, and I kind of figured that out by accident. I was trying to get it to come off, and it budged a little bit, which was actually tightening it a little bit. So I decided to go back in with it to see if it would just loosen it, and when I did, it just popped right out. So that's actually a left-hand thread screw, which is pretty important to know. Haven't really seen anybody give you the heads up on anything I read about that, so that's kind of important. But the only other thing is that all these little screws that holds these baffles in pretty much destroyed by the time I got them out of there. I had to file the back end of the right here against the shaft because they're intentionally boogered to keep them from backing out. And by the time I did that, and then got a little gunsmith screwdriver in there to take them out, they're pretty much destroyed. So I'm going to order a set of those, and see if I can find this cross shaft, and then we'll be ready to put it back together, and I think it's good as gold. Spent a lot of time cleaning all these little passages out. I blew air through them. I've gently used this welder's tip cleaner with the finest thread that I have, because I didn't want to file the jets open, but all these little passages have to be clear and blowing air through them. So I think I got all that handled. So we're just about ready to see if we can't figure out how to put this back together here once we get the shaft. Well, I talked to John at the Carburetor Shop this morning, and this shaft is unavailable and very expensive, even if you could find it. He gave me the part number, said I'd probably never find one. He suggested I try to silver solder this, a little silver solder onto this shaft to then see if I can build it up and turn it down on this lathe. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do. I have really no idea how well this is going to work. But it's sort of the only option. So I have a little acetylene silver solder torch that I use for some jewelry work. And I'm going to make a honest attempt. I cleaned it really well. And he said don't use solder, said use silver solder. All right, I've got it cleaned off. I'm gonna make one more run at this. I'm gonna put the solder right where I want it to run. I mean, the flux right where I want it to run. And I'm gonna try one more time. I did get the solder out of the slot. Where the throttle plate goes. And that wasn't good. I finally had to heat it up and blow it out with air. All right, I think I got enough globbed onto that. We're gonna see how that works. I'm gonna try to put a little in the middle here. All right, I think I got enough of this built up on there. It's kind of globbed on there, but I think it's got enough built up on there that I can then now kind of start filing it down and see where I'm at. So we'll give that a shot. Okay, I got this shaft built up and filed down. I had it in the lathe. I didn't spin it in the lathe. I just used the lathe to hold it. And then I went in with a file and filed this back smooth. And then I used some emery cloth to polish it to the same diameter. So only real problem I had was down in this groove, the silver solder ran into the groove. So I had to file that out. I just took a hacksaw blade and stuck it down in between here and worked it back and forth until I got it cleaned out. And now the piece slides up in there and it's got a little resistance, and I'm not sure I can hold the phone and show you this, but there's no movement in it, so it's nice and tight. Hopefully the silver solder will be stronger than regular solder and keep that smooth for a long time. Evidently, these Stromberg WWs are notorious for this aluminum to corrode, and then once it corrodes, the the corrosive action in there wears that shaft down. And it was worn probably 30, 40 thousandths on one side of the shaft. So I've now got that fixed. I did my best to kind of rethread these threads, and I think there's enough to hold. So I think we're gonna parkerize the end of this shaft real quick, and then we'll put it back together.
Download the Resto-Rat app today to begin managing, tracking, and documenting your restoration project.